Special Education Executive Committee meeting, February 22nd, 2023 at 10:40 a.m. I'm Susan Yankee and I'm the council chair. Is there anyone for public comment, Julie?
No.
No? Okay, great.
Thank you.
So first item is we need to approve the January 11th, 2023 Executive Committee meeting minute. Are there any corrections to the minutes? Anyone?
No.
I don't have.
No.
Nope. Okay, great. And then would someone like to make a motion for the approval of the minutes?
I make a motion to approve the minutes.
Great, second.
I'll second that.
Thank you. Great. Abstentions from anyone who didn't attend? All in favor of approving the minutes of the January 11th, 2023 meeting? Great. Wonderful. The minute meetings are approved. Yay. And Jolie, I just wanted to mention that when I was trying to look at the executive committee agenda for today on the online to print it, it would come up with a 404 error, but the way I couldn't sign on to Teams, I'm going to put money it was me. So I don't know.
We'll double check that, Susan, just to make sure. Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you. So committee matters. First, I want to say thank you, Brian. That was amazing how you were able to go through the priorities and recommendations for our current annual report that we're finishing and for the future. I thought that was wonderful. So you're really giving everybody a chance to have a voice, and that's so appreciated. I know you did that at the expense of the rest of the agenda, but I really appreciate it.
No problem at all. No, it was important. All I did was just copy over your work. So it's really a testament to the group. And I would say, for executive committee consideration, there were a couple of things brought up today to add to the report.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we're sort of at the 11th hour here in a bit, on the time frame, to get things out as soon as possible for the annual report. But there were a couple things that I had noted today to include, and one of the recommendations was from Jane around sharing of DESA information, or I think the way we could phrase it is school and parent communication and collaboration around the administration of the DESA, just as as sort of a recommendation to ensure that those processes are being engaged in. And then from Missy, there was a recommendation around safety plan information. I think I would need a little bit more information from her, but she was talking about requirements. Now, schools are required to have emergency plans for students. In the special education process, there's additional requirements for students that are deaf and hard of hearing.
Yep.
For those students within their language and communication plan to have emergency safety plans differentiated or modified and individualized for those students. So I think that's along the lines of what she was discussing, but I'm not sure if it's something that this council wants to find out more information about, maybe incorporate these suggestions into the next annual report, or like Tom was suggesting, in the fall. And then there was a couple, I'm just trying to look through my notes here.
Can I interject, Brian, for a second?
Yeah, please, Sean. Go ahead.
It wasn't Missy, it was actually Susan who brought up the safety planning.
Oh, sorry. Susan's like, yeah, that was me.
That's okay. It's one of my because I kind of champion the deaf and hard of hearing planning, because even though you're supposed to have a plan, there wasn't one. So I had it put into, I aided it with legislation. And I know, I think that's something that needs to be fleshed out more with the full SAC committee, and maybe put it in with November. I think people really, I would love to get other members' input on this, and as well as communication for students and making sure that this is really happening for students in schools. Do they really have something in their IEP Or
I
in
think that
something
makes sense to kind of incorporate it in the next
Yeah.
cycle, just given all the work that's
Yeah.
been done up to this
I,
point. in
I,
time,
I
yeah.
agree. And if we could have
Okay.
somebody from the state at some point come in and say, maybe the person that actually added the disability section, I have his name somewhere, to the security template that the schools use. It's kind of a little teeny little extra addendum now that all students with a disability has to have a specific plan. And maybe if he could come and speak to that at a meeting later on, I think that would be really beneficial to see what they're doing and how schools are communicating with themselves and their staff on and making this happen and making sure teachers know what to do
Definitely.
in an emergency. So maybe as a possible speaker.
So to
I-
clarify, are you
Mhm,
going
thank
to
you.
not put it in, or are you going to put it in and then we'll expand upon it in the fall? Right? Because I think if we put it in and include it, we still have the opportunity to have it be talked about more and emphasize like more specific information at a later time, where I think if we didn't put it in at all, it wouldn't maybe make as much sense to include it in the fall.
Okay. And
Just
then
a thought.
how would you word it for this current one?
However you would word it, it's your idea, so you
Oh,
know what
no,
your
I-
intention
You're all
is.
is that
What
there
we
is,
could say is, what we could say is to identify the current requirements for students of deaf and hard of hearing and explore expanding this support for students with other primary disability categories.
Yeah, so it's already in the school security template. They added all disabilities, but there's
Right.
no specific plan for
Mhm.
schools. There's no, like we keep talking about roadmaps.
But
What's
you're
the
talking
roadmap?
about like the language and communication plan within the IEP process, right?
Yeah,
Versus the safety plan that that districts are required to have in
exactly.
place
And
that
are they
includes students with disabilities.
and are they communicating? Because I'm not even sure students that have that IEP plan that are deaf and hard of hearing or deaf blind, if they are, it's my understanding that they aren't, that's not being communicated to the school safety council that each district and school is required to have. They're not communicating, is my understanding. So one doesn't know what the other is doing. So if it's in the IEP, it should be made aware to, the school security council. But I don't know how to word that, and I don't know if that's too in depth for what we do as a SAC.
Yeah, thoughts. I mean, I don't think
I
it's
don't know
too
where-
in depth. I don't think it's too in depth, but it may. I mean, if we do more new work in the annual plan, it's going to back us up a little bit. I mean, it's just going to take a little more time. That's not to say we don't do it. I'm just saying, like,
Can
we
I make a
have a
suggestion?
final draft now. If we add something new to it, it could add another week or two to the dissemination.
I mean, I think, and I could be wrong, and please tell me if I'm wrong here, but maybe have a subcommittee starting like soon and then kind of tack it on to next year's annual plan, but at least flesh it out with the subcommittee to really look at this. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
Again,
To do an
that's just
ad
my
hoc?
thought.
To do an ad hoc, Sean?
Yeah.
Okay. And that's something I'm supposed to create, right? It's not we make a motion.
Yeah, you can, and then I mean, the other thing is you could fold it into your full council group activities too, and that we can just, like, to Jen's point, so we don't lose it moving forward. Sean, Jolie, and I can summarize it, put it in, and put it on paper, and then have folks discuss it. Maybe it's an ad hoc committee, maybe it's just small group discussions during a full council meeting, or maybe it's, further discussions with the full group. You have options.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much, everybody, for
Yeah.
especially what's going on in our world to really flesh that out, make sure our students with disabilities know what's going on in an
It's
emergency.
important. It's important.
Yeah. And that, that throws in student voice too, because students have to know what their plan is and can they execute it, et cetera, et cetera. So having a student voice is pretty important, that they have input as well. So, but that's fleshing out, that's in the future. And I know we only have a few minutes. So next thing on the agenda, or any other committee matters. I was wondering, are we still working, Catherine, on that legislative recruitment, not recruitment?
No,
but
it's an
legislative info
information flyer. Yes,
Mm-hmm.
we are. So I would like to schedule a membership meeting in the pretty near future, actually, to just finalize that, because I think we have a pretty good rough draft, but we just need to tweak it a little bit.
Yes.
And then that should be ready to go.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Brian, should we move on to the follow-up of the meeting we just had and the legislative breakfast? I see that's next. Is that correct? Do I have the right thing? No, I don't. Wait, am I looking at the right?
I'm looking for a copy of the agenda. I'm not sure.
Okay, I have the agenda here. I was looking at that one. So
I can
now
share
we-
it.
No, I'm
Yeah,
saying I'm
discussion,
looking for it.
yeah.
I don't know if I got one. So,
it was a couple days ago, a day ago.
okay. Was it
Time
emailed?
time is like this. I don't know. So
Emailed?
discussion follow-up from the full SAC meeting is the first committee matter.
I'll
That's
send
what
you the agenda right now, Jeff.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm sure I had it. I've just been looking for it. Okay.
That's exactly. No worries.
So the
I'm not worried
discussion
about it.
follow-up from the full SAC meeting. So we know we have to roll are we rolling all of it to the next meeting, or you're going to update via email?
Yeah, so I mean, I think so 90 minutes in general is a very
Mhm.
tight, like activities in these meetings. So
Yeah.
they serve that purpose. So we had one in-person switch to a virtual, and then I think we condensed the time. So the idea was, our in-person will be longer, so we'll have more time to discuss as groups. So we can't fit all of the things that we normally do into 90 minutes. It's just impossible. So I think today was good. The only really things, I mean, there were just the director report from the Bureau, and then the roundtable really were the two things, which we would do anyway. But I think our next meeting in March is also 90 minutes. And Tom Boudreau needs to present on the IDEA grant. It's an annual presentation to the advisory council. So that usually takes 30 minutes, which doesn't leave much time on the agenda next time, unless we want to adjust the schedule in some way. So just throwing that out there for agenda planning purposes now. And
That's great. So would we,
Yeah.
on the next meeting, we would do the IDEA grant, the
Yes.
roundtable? And then
Yeah.
we would also propose whether or not we should do an ad hoc or form small group to work on the safety part of the mental health.
Yeah, I mean, that's something that you all can decide. Like the legislative group is going to be really busy between now and the
Yes.
next meeting. So we have to keep that in mind, that like Jeff's time and folks on the legislative committee are going to be scrambling a bit in the next few
Okay,
weeks.
so then legislative for March then, and then do our priorities and recommendations, put it on the big meeting on the 26th?
Yeah, it's up to you. I was saying, like, just thinking about the next few weeks that we
Yeah.
have in front of us, there's not a whole lot of time to meet in between these meetings. It's gonna like be here like kind of like that.
Yeah,
Like that. But to your point earlier, we want to keep the momentum going on the priorities and things like that. So just throwing that out there with Tom's presentation, 30 minutes, that could be with questions. I could try to tell him to be succinct with it. And I think most of the council has heard his presentations in the past, but this is for our new posting. So we have to publicly post the grant application for 60 days for folks to comment on. And so the advisory council gets an opportunity to ask questions, how funds are being expended. There is an increase this year for school districts, so those are some of the things we'll share. And then, yeah, I'm sure there'll be updates legislatively. Roundtable, you didn't get a chance to do this time around, but, you know, hopefully folks will send things to Jolie. And then, you know, again, my updates could be sent in bulleted format or not. So it's time for you to kind of think about, like, what is the remainder, like you had there was a great idea, Susan, to think about the rest of the year and project out. And our schedule. I lost the agenda for the dates after
so
March.
We have March 20 legislative, right? And then your update. Do you think we can get it all in that meeting?
Sure.
Okay. And then the April 26th is our longer one. Maybe that's when we should be addressing priorities and recommendations for that fall presentation. Is Tom suggesting we change is it in our bylaws of when it's due to the, because the legislators want it in the fall, or no? Okay.
It's legislated. It's not in the bylaws. It's in legislation when
Okay.
the reports are due. So you wouldn't have to take action in the bylaws to do that. It would just be something that you decide to do, and then we just do it.
Right. Okay.
We just put the timeline out in a different way. You know, part of this is procedural, you know, from the council, but the other part is in the advisory work and like where the biggest bang for your buck is going to come. And, you know, there's been a lot of great progress that the council's made and it being included in work groups and things like that. So I think you have a good foundation to work from. But if you wanted to put out the next annual report in October next year, we can do that. And it could be a different format. I know we've talked about different formats. I like the concept, this is not my decision, but I like the concept of doing a report that's accompanied with like a 1-page infographic or 2-page infographic that is easy to read, really jumps
like an
out.
abstract, right?
Yeah,
Isn't it
yeah.
kind of,
Yeah, exactly.
yeah.
Yeah, I completely agree. So I guess that could be our goal, but then that means we most likely will have meeting. Am I correct?
So our July meeting is not officially part of like this year's.
Okay.
That's usually our orientation and retreat.
We could
And
Yeah, go ahead, Jen. What were you
yeah, I was
saying?
gonna say, like, at the national webinar that we just did, a lot of states, they do their annual report like in June or September, like, you know, when it's a natural you know, change to the next council. So so that the people who is the way we do it, often the new chair kind of gets thrown into having no, but you know what I mean? Like, right, throw you to the wolves, Susan. But ends up
Susan's
having
like, yeah, I can
to,
relate to that.
you know, to do that. And so I don't know if there's a way that we can advocate to change our timeline, or maybe it would help us to have like a mid-year report. So maybe we did a report that ended in June, and then we would only have to do a smaller amount at the end of when we're supposed to have it done. But I feel like, yeah, what we're doing is not the most effective.
Yeah, and if we want to get it legislatively changed, usually that's super easy just to get like that date wording changed. That's not something that has to go through 12 committees. What do you think? Because we don't know your workload at the Department of Education, so I don't know how.
No need to factor that in. Yeah, it's all whatever your charge would be, we'll support. I love the idea of ending in June. It makes sense. Like everybody's kind of refreshed and then you kind of start from July. It's confusing to have two sets of priorities in the report, I think, even for us that are working on a report.
Yeah, we're like, wait a minute, is that last year?
Yeah. So I think I mean, if we could do that, like this year could be sort of an abbreviated process where, you know, we can continue to tweak and revise this current draft, ended in June, but then we don't have to disseminate it in June, like to give ourselves a little bit of you know, a little less pressure at the end of the year. Everybody's busy in May and June. Everybody's always busy, but I just mean there's a lot of end of the year sort of activities, and then folks go on vacation and things like that. So we could disseminate it in early October, but finish it. The report ends in June. Like this was our last year's activities. This report, like at some point when you do that transition, this report's going to be truncated. It's going to be, here's mostly what we talked about up until February, and then a little bit added more to it, along with the infographic, and then disseminated in October. It meets kind of Tom's point. It meets Jen, what some other states are doing, which I think makes a lot of sense and takes pressure off of the chair.
And it would relieve us of like today where we're like, we need to make sure everybody sees what's on the report, what you're doing
Yeah.
before we do it. And then we had to truncate legislative, and this is our legislative season.
Yep. I like it.
So, okay. Is that a
Yeah,
vote?
I really like that because it just seems natural.
Mhm.
And you know, like you were saying, Brian, you have summer break and then you come back, and I'll be honest, I'll say, okay, and yeah, do I recall everything that happened 2 months ago? So this is good.
Yeah. And the
Summer
holiday.
Oh,
regression.
yeah.
Okay,
Big time
this
here.
kind of awesome. So that kind of would dictate.
That's great.
Then we'd need to have our May meeting. But 9 to 10:30, probably. If we're going to try to finish up in June, or we can make that.
Yeah.
Or we can make, because we're not going to, because we won't, because that means we need to focus on the April 26th meeting on those priorities and recommendations, right? And the new ones that we're trying to kind of add in. Am I correct? Then should May 24th be us meeting, the executive, or should it be full SAC saying, this is the report, this is what we're doing, you know, we're going to do we're going to do that. We're going to finish it up in June. I don't know what you guys think the best schedule should be for us so that we can get everything in and we don't have to cut in a meeting halfway through the agenda. Anyone?
I'm
I like
wondering if like those really short meetings, if we might extend and say anybody that can stay to do a work group to focus on the priorities and contributing to it. That could be one option for one or more meetings.
Yeah, I like that. And I also like the idea of keeping May 24th on the agenda, because if it's not needed, it can always be canceled. But if we get in a bind, it's so hard to add that back and then end up with enough people to have a quorum to attend.
Yeah, I agree. It's good to have a placekeeper there on your calendar, so.
Okay,
Yeah.
great.
So just to clarify, so we would, for the March, is the March 29th the only 90-minute meeting left?
No, May 24th is a tentative.
Okay, so March and May. So if we send out and say we're meeting for 90 minutes on those days, however, if you're able to stay an additional 90 minutes,
Mhm.
then work will be done on the annual report priorities.
Yes, and we'll have to change our executive committee meetings. And I
Yeah.
was actually going to broach that for the March 29th because I actually have to work that day. I have to leave at 10 at the end of our meeting and go to work. I tried to avoid it, but I have to. So I guess we'll have to, Jolie, I guess you and Brian get together and send out some possibilities. If we're going to extend those, we'll have to change when our executive committee meeting is. And does anyone have a feeling of they would like it after our full SAC meetings, before our full SAC? What are your thoughts?
Are you talking about the in-person ones or the?
Yeah, our executive committee meetings, the next, I guess, 2, because we probably wouldn't extend the April 26th an extra 90 minutes. So the March 29th and May 24th, our executive committee meetings, we're going to have to change. Do you prefer meeting after the full SAC meets where we discuss what happened, or do you prefer meeting beforehand?
Well,
I like-
the April 26th one, that's an in-person meeting of the full SAC, so that would be for a full, in-person for the exec.
Yes, and we would be in person right after that. That wouldn't change.
Yeah. I mean, Susan, if you can't make it on
On the
the 29th, maybe that one should be before the meeting if everyone can meet.
Ooh, you're a genius. Yes.
Okay,
Okay, so before, thank you so much for that.
you're welcome. And then I don't know how anyone else feels. I like meeting after. I like doing a little bit of a recap. So I am going to suggest meeting after on May 24th, but I'm open to anything that anyone else has to say.
So I enjoy meeting afterwards as well, because I feel like our brains have a wealth of information and it's fresh. But if we do a work group after the May 24th, maybe we would move the executive committee meeting to like a day after. So people, or a couple of days after.
Yeah.
I mean, February,
Just
March.
keeping in mind that's Memorial Day weekend, so I don't know if people are
Mhm.
intending to leave Thursday or
Oh, yeah, they
Friday.
will. You
Yeah.
are so right. So then that would move that May 24th to move, that would move it into June, like June, correct then? Or, because no one will be around the 29th. Everyone will be catching their tails, getting back in the groove on the 30th, correct?
Yeah.
I mean,
So
really,
Mhm.
just weighing in here a little bit, you don't, one of the most important pieces or responsibilities of the executive committee is designing the agenda for the next meeting. So although it's important and everyone's kind of like refreshed and like you said,
Mhm.
everything's fresh in mind right after, it's also sometimes hard to set an agenda for the next meeting. So in May, after May, you don't have to worry about that. We have our summer orientation, but it's not as though you're pressed to meet to generate something to get to Jolie and Sean and I.
Oh, okay.
But like now our March, like we've been a little bit like late last minute in the agendas, and it's not, everybody's busy. But I think part of it is we used to meet like a week or two before to finalize, which we haven't. It's hard to do when we're meeting more frequently.
Mhm.
Right.
So like today we're set. April 26th, it's right after, and then May's right after that. So I'm sure we can get an agenda in there. And then maybe you take the pressure off a little bit and say, really our charge after the May meeting is to figure out how we're going to finalize the annual review and to, the annual report, and
For
then
June.
to structure the July. I mean, usually by May, we're giving people dates for July, right? Like we try to narrow it down. So I'm just trying to be mindful because we have more meetings this year. We have less executive meetings, it seems like, but still a lot to coordinate. So
Okay, so that leaves us with moving the March 29th meeting ahead of time, correct? Is that right, Brian? Is that correct?
well,
I
again,
can't-
I mean, you're next. I am all set for the agenda. I think we're all set for our March agenda.
Okay,
So the executive committee doesn't have to meet before March 29th necessarily for the agenda, but we do have some, like we got the dispute resolution things going on, legislative and those other things where the executive committee may have to meet, like Jeff may say, I want to write something in response to one of these bills, and the executive committee is going to have to like respond to it.
so that
So
should be a per as needed?
yeah.
Rather do? Okay.
I
And
don't want to meet before the March meeting to plan the April agenda, if that
Okay.
makes sense.
that makes complete sense, complete sense.
Yeah.
Okay,
That's just me though, so don't, I mean, I'm just weighing in.
right, and I'm assuming we'll meet after the May meeting specifically to finish up that June, like you said, the June
Yeah,
annual report version.
yeah, we'll have work
The
to
end of
do
the
for
year.
the annual report,
Okay.
figure out where people are on vacations, and then, kind of nail down the final recommendations for the orientation and or training in the summer.
Okay, so right now, our next executive committee meeting will not be until we have our legislative committee meeting, or Jeff feels that we need to act on legislation recommendations. Is that correct? Like if
Yeah,
we
we
draft
have
something,
our March meeting, so our March meeting for is like you said, next Thursday at 11.
right?
Does the committee want to meet before? I mean, I said, you can definitely meet. I mean, there is a bit of time before March 29th, but it's up to you if you want to meet. I'm just saying, as far as the agenda is concerned, we're all set. Like, we could put a draft agenda out pretty much now for that March 29th meeting.
No, I think if we're good,
All right.
and we should just meet if we have to approve something before the
Okay.
full site needs to see it, right? Is that what you're saying? Thank you for guiding us there.
Okay.
Great, awesome.
You want to put like just like a tentative meeting on the books for like the 22nd, because we're going to have a legislative meeting on the 2nd, then 2 weeks after, I think possibly on the 16th. If we put an executive meeting on the 22nd, which is a week before the 29th, just to have it on the, we could always cancel it, but
That sounds good.
is that okay with everybody? I mean, we can always cancel
Yeah,
it.
yeah,
but-
yeah, yeah. I can do that because I try to keep most of my Wednesdays open.
What are you guys looking for the 22nd? You have a specific time?
It would
11.
be, I'm pretty much free that day, so it'd be everybody else's schedule.
Anybody have a restriction for that day? I have from for executive for that day, I have from 9 to 12. No, 9 to 11. I'm gonna give my boss a little time there.
That would work. For any time there would work.
Yeah. I
Okay,
prefer
you
that.
guys. Earlier, later, up to you.
Brian, what
9:30?
works best for you?
Sorry. What are we looking at?
Brian,
On
9
the 22nd, anywhere in the time frame of 9 to 11.
Sure.
As a tentative.
All right.
We want to know what time is best for you to start.
Let's see. I would say 9 o'clock is preferable.
Nice. Good.
Yeah.
That's where I was going for him. All right.
Okay, so you want to say 10 a.m. on the 22nd? Tentative?
9.
Oh, I thought you said not 9.
Nope, 9. We'll go
9.
with 9, and I'll
9
get
a.m.
this going
tentative.
right now.
And if we need to cancel it, if we don't need anything, then we'll just get rid of it.
Awesome.
Okay,
That sounds
anything
good.
legislatively. Okay, that's wonderful.
Do we-
Getting things done.
Yeah.
Do we know where our in-person meeting is in April?
Great question. I don't, we don't have
I
a
parking
location
lot.
set, correct?
No, we don't have, no,
Okay.
we don't, but we have a place that an option.
Yeah, we've had a few different suggestions, but nothing. So we should do that. That's a to-do for us to nail that down sooner rather than later.
Somewhere fun. No.
Somewhat fun. Yeah. The weather should be nice, or hopefully nice in late April.
I'm looking outside right now.
I know, right?
Okay. I'm trying to think of anything else.
One thing I have to say to Jolie, I didn't bring this up, but I just wanted to reassure you that proposed bill number 390
What pizza?
enacts designating pizza as the state food.
It was already designated as the food of my life. Like,
Well,
you
but I
guys
just
were
wanted to
not
let you
jumping
know,
on
so
board.
in case you wanted to write in some like written testimony in favor, the statement of purpose of the bill is to recognize the contribution of pizza to the state's cuisine and economy by designating it as the state food. So I know that you're in favor of that.
I have like 4 pages, Jeff. I'm gonna have to get that to you. We're gonna have to consolidate that. Pizza,
Do
pizza.
you have a speaker for the April 26th, or will that basically just be focusing on roundtable updates?
So we have one more required activity, which is an update from our table 7
Okay.
around dispute resolution data. So that's That could either be in April or May.
Okay, so that's up to you.
Okay,
That's my favorite one.
yeah.
Okay, I'm like looking at all my 3,000 notes. Make sure I say Rick's name right. I'm trying to figure that's not one of the.
That's everybody. That's why he,
Yeah, I
yeah, that's why
understand.
he introduces himself, because everybody does it.
I put the IPA down for his spelling, so if I get it right next time. Oh, Jolie, is there
Yeah.
any chance that we could get, and I know you're so busy, the minutes at least a few days earlier so that we can really look at them? Because I really didn't have a lot of time but to peruse it quickly.
I think that's going to change with when we're changing changing the timing of our meetings.
Okay,
So you will be getting them soon. That's one of the reasons. It's just, I think that'll be able to change once we kind of start to change the schedule of the executive meetings. So that's part of the thing that will be not so last minute.
okay, that's so wonderful. Okay,
Yep.
great. And then we seem to be set on the annual report. I wish you could turn it in with that beautiful slide presentation. Julie, there's only one correction in my letter from the chair. At the very end of it, I have, I wrote, I'll send it to you. There's a word, there's something that should be italicized. So I'll just copy and paste it to you in an email, and just so you know exactly what it was italicized and now it's not. So.
Susan, can I ask, can I go back a sec? I just noted that, so thank you. And can I just go back a second? The minutes, another thing I can do is, you were talking about the executive minutes?
No, the minutes for the full SAC, really, so I can really have time to go through everything, because it was a holiday weekend. It was just, I was working all day Monday, so.
I don't mind sharing with, you before the council. I just share that with the group in general, like to eliminate the messages, but I can get them to you as soon as I'm done with them.
Okay, all right.
Okay? So
All right,
you'll
but
probably
I
be getting them
wouldn't have caught-
twice.
probably wouldn't have caught that, like Dimpy's last name and things like that, so. All
Yeah,
right.
I did. I review and I had it highlighted. I just never went back. But
That's
Jen's got my back.
Okay. And a quick question for membership. Catherine, weren't you going over who, like, who's rolling out?
Yeah,
Is
Jolie.
that the right word?
Yeah, I did. Thank you. That's been on my mind, Susan. Jolie, you were going to get me a list of the members whose appointments or roles end this July 1st. So if you can get that to me soon, that would be great.
All of today.
Thanks, because I know it's only February, but it's one of these things that does stress me out, thinking I don't want to have any vacancies come July 1. So this will help the committee plan for recruitments for any openings.
Catherine, I thought
Also,
about
if
you
there's-
last night at 10. I thought about you
Oh,
when we were
thank
sending those
you.
emails regarding Mia.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Also, Catherine, if there's people whose terms are ending that want to get reappointed too, so not just recruitment, but reappointment too. You can
Right.
approach them to see if they want to stay on.
That's what I'm hoping, actually, Jeff. So if there are individuals who are interested in staying on, I'm all for it, as long as everyone else is too. That'll be great.
Also,
We need a higher ed person, right? Still,
We
haven't.
still need
Yeah.
to,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yep. And a DOC, but that's us. That's the commissioner.
Thanks for reminding us on
Still
that.
DOC, yeah.
So what are you looking for in a higher ed? Is it somebody that directly works with the
Does
training?
teacher
especially-
preparation programs
Teacher prep,
typically,
Yeah.
because we really want them to be able to speak to that,
What's going on?
especially with our priorities that we have.
What if we ask somebody that's involved in that CCSO work with us on the inclusive principal practices? There's folks from Sacred Heart, CCSU, and St. Joseph's, I believe, on that.
Okay, yeah, those are all good. Those are all
Good
good
programs.
programs. So if any of them
Okay.
Of course,
are willing to do it, that would be great.
any special ed would be, bonus.
Yeah, they're all
Yeah.
special ed
Yep.
administrators. They're working in those prep programs. Yeah.
Perfect.
Wonderful.
That would be great. That sounds like a good idea.
Can anyone think of anything else that we need to go over?
I apologize, Susan. Sean and I need to jump off real quick because we
Okay.
have an 11:30 that we just need to connect on quick.
Yeah.
But awesome job today, and great job to the executive committee. You should be proud of the annual report. Really well done. Nice recommendations and great plan moving forward.
All right, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Hey,
Bye.
Susan, there's another robot
Yes.
contest on March 18th.
I'll tell my son, I will, I think that's spring break, so it's a maybe. For everybody else, and Jolie, I did mention to Brian the whole part about we need a little training on the Microsoft Word document because I don't know. Yeah, because I don't know if everybody saw that we were all working on different documents.
Yeah.
And my son gave me a small lecture on how we should
Yeah.
run it with a certain document. And Brian said that they might have some sort of training. I don't know if anyone would be interested or a quick tutorial on Microsoft Word documents. I can really do Google Documents, but Microsoft Word, I cannot.
So did we, when we did it
Hey,
together,
guys, I gotta run, okay? I'm sorry.
Okay,
we
bye.
did it
Bye,
on the same
Jeff.
document,
Bye,
right?
bye.
The rest of us?
Beg your pardon, what?
So Jen, my edits were not there.
Yep. I didn't see yours. There, I noticed on the
I saw
January
Nachi's.
11th.
Yeah, mine were not there.
I
think-
noticed on January 11th that Susan had emailed and two people had worked on the document and those edits weren't there. That's when I brought it to Brian's attention. Then
And
he
then,
got
yeah, and
me.
then, yeah, and then I
Yep.
brought, and then I sent you the document.
Then you
I
did,
sent you
yep.
the link of what we were working on.
Yep. And I still managed to somehow get the wrong, or whatever.
And you got
But,
the wrong one,
but
Brian.
all it takes is like, I was already there. So Brian and I connect and quickly, like I had already formatted and everything looked good. So I was like, Brian already knew. He waited till 5 o'clock. He's like, I'm going to give her a personal call. Because I'm not going to tell her she worked on the wrong document at 5 and just leave her. We fixed it, got it going. So thank you for that last link. And yeah, but making sure we're all on the same document.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's, I don't know. I think we tried to make sure we were all on the same document. but
Yeah.
we had real
Because we could see
difficulty.
each other. Yeah,
Right.
like,
Yeah.
the,
And I
like we
bet
could
there-
see that we were
Right,
all
and
typing.
it just didn't stick. So Susan, I think that is a really great idea. It's probably one of these little self-paced tutorials you can do on your own time.
Mhm.
And then even if we decide we want to change the format of the annual report, at least working off of the old one, because, like, for example, with this student recruitment flyer, that's the kind of thing where I just like to plug it into next year's draft,
Mhm.
and that it's there. And as I said, after summer break, for me to remember that I did this is just, I know it's embarrassing, but it's just, or like when there's a committee meeting, to just input the date that, the committee met on this date, and then you just always have that running list there for your record, and you don't have to think about it in the future.
So I thought we were working in Google Docs on that when we were all in it at the same time.
No.
That was a Word doc?
Yeah, it was a Word doc.
Yeah.
Okay.
Nachi, I thought it was.
Like it was
Yep.
still a link, but for some reason, that's like another thing too. I don't know if you've noticed it like in yours, but like in Teams, sometimes like if you copy and paste a link, it changes it. We've
Yep.
noticed that with some things, and it could be like really messed up. So
That's-
a training
Okay.
would be probably good for us
Yeah.
to not
That was
So
one
the-
of the things that happened with the annual report when I sent it to Brian. I sent the last copy, and when he opened up, that link was not what went to him.
Yeah. I think the OneDrive issue was there because I work with it standalone
mhm.
with, with Microsoft Word, and it does the tracking changes and those, but that takes a lot of sending and not doing it together. So I don't know. I was not well versed in how to do it together.
Yeah.
Okay,
All right.
everybody.
Good. I'm glad everybody needs it, not just me.
No,
Yeah.
Great.
Oh, definitely not just you. I don't use OneDrive unless I have to.
yeah.
Yeah, just used to Google Docs. It just, I don't know.
I
why.
know. Yeah,
so
it's
much
like
easier,
second
but-
nature.
But we're
Yeah.
not allowed to, is that correct?
I think like the
just-
state doesn't have access to it, right?
Yes,
It's-
you can
'cause it's-
start it. You can yeah, you guys can work, but then when it comes to us, it has to be downloaded and like, sent to us as a attachment. Like we just don't have access to it on our end because
It's not secure, I think. Right?
correct. Anything that's free, a free program, it's not really secure
Yeah.
Right.
enough
And-
for us to
and-
use.
And are you planning on submitting the annual report like anytime soon or?
After
you know-
after you guys,
After-
as soon as we were waiting for that last one to review with the.
I just have one thing and I'll cut and paste and do that as soon as we're done. Anybody else see anything else?
Oops. No, I
No.
think just the things that we already discussed today.
Yeah, I know it said recommendations for, I really was hoping we got the special education teacher of the year recommendation in, but that might have to be a separate
Yeah.
thing. It says recognition, but
Oh,
Okay. Hmm.
I don't know if that's something that then Brian takes to the Department of Special Education and expands on. I should have asked him when he was around. Sorry.
I don't know. Is that a commissioner? Wouldn't that be a commissioner thing? Who does that? Like the teacher of the year and special ed teacher of the year? Is it the teacher union or who does that?
I
The
wonder if
like
it is the commissioner.
like the annual of the. I'm sorry, I just want to make sure I'm
You
responding
know how
to
they
the
have
correct thing.
educators of the year and paraeducators of the year? One of our recommendations was to recognize a special educator of the year. Again, just for the like highlighting the profession and valuing it as part of our teacher recruitment and retention efforts. It's really like just like a small thing that we thought might be helpful.
Yeah.
Did I say that right? Is
Yep,
that what
said
I
that.
got,
Yes,
I
you
know what
did.
you're saying.
So is that something, Jolie, that we can just check quick with Brian?
Yep,
I don't know if
and
we'll
I
see-
added it to the minutes to make it a thing that we have that question, but I will get you the answer before, like I'm just adding it to the, because it's a question we have.
Mhm.
Great.
Okay,
And then
thank
I
you.
guess and then since I have to write the report from the chair, if you would throw me these minutes as well, I would appreciate it. It would help me write my little blurb. I'm taking notes, but then I go, what did I write?
I'm sorry, Susan. Can you just repeat that? You said when I send you the.
When you send me the SAC minute meetings, the draft, would you send me also the executive committee?
Absolutely.
And then maybe I can, that would be so greatly appreciated.
Yep.
Thank you, thank you. Anyone think of anything else? No?
No, it's nice to see you all.
Yeah,
I
nice to
know.
see
It's
everybody.
good to
And
see all
then
of you.
I'll see everybody. We'll see you now virtual next time. I'm looking at my little notes.
Yeah.
I know, it's like,
Soon we'll be in person. That's okay. All right. I look forward to finding out where the next in-person meeting is.
Me too.
Thank
Ready
you
to
for doing that.
finalize.
Yeah.
all right, have a great
Anybody-
week.
All right. Have a
Bye.
great week. Thank you. Take care,
Bye.
everybody.
Bye,
Thank you
everyone.
so
Have
much.
Bye.
a
Thank you.
great